Today I'm out here shooting with the Fuji XH2s using the Fuji XF200mm 2.0 lens. I've come out to a botanical garden in hopes of testing the camera and the lens and see how well the system performs. Just checking out the gardens. Sometimes there's a lot of butterflies here, and it'd be interesting to see how well I could do some butterfly photography using this combination. I've actually had a lot of success photographing butterflies here before using the Fuji X-T4 and the XF100 to 400mm lens. Hopefully I'll get an opportunity. There'll be some butterflies out there. There's also an aviary, and in that aviary there's an assortment of some of the birds that are natural to the environment here in Florida, some of the other birds that you would typically find in the Everglades, and hopefully there's an opportunity in there to do some photography. The lighting in there will be a little bit more challenging because it is a netted aviary and there's plenty of trees. There'll be a mixture of shade and some hot spots, so we'll see how that goes. Fuji XH2 came out with the overheating warning on the viewfinder and on the rear screen, and I've never experienced that with any camera. I don't do much video. As a matter of fact, I haven't done any video with this camera at all, and I was very surprised. I thought the overheating was a video issue, but apparently it's a problem with photography, and it's not like I was taking a bunch of photographs with a motor drive just, you know, going away at it. I wasn't. Just really shocked with the overheating warning coming up. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to attach the 1.4 extender to the Fuji XF200mm lens, and trying to get a little closer to these butterflies, see if I can get them to fill the frame a little bit more. It's got a little overcast. Lighting could be an issue, but I'm at 2.8. Stay, you know, maybe no more than 1600. Hopefully I won't even have to go up that high, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll give me an opportunity, and it'll be nice to see how well the extender performs trying to photograph butterflies using the XH2s and the 200mm lens. Fuji, you're really upsetting me. Temperature warning came up again. It said approaching standard temperature limits. Obviously I need to like set it to a maximum temperature setting, but this is ridiculous. I'm taking photos. The sun's actually behind clouds. It's shaded out here. It's supposed to be like 90 degrees. It's a little cooler than when I was getting the warning before. I'm shooting continuous autofocus, continuous motor drive, but I'm not by any means just sitting on the motor drive and tripping a bunch of pictures. So no excuse for this. Very concerned about the Fuji XH2 and overheating. To provide some more information as far as the overheating, I am using an Angelbird CF Express B 512 memory card. Maybe that's a contributing factor to overheating. And I do have on the second slot a 256 Lexar V60 memory card, and but that was not being used at all. So if it's a memory card issue, it would have to be the Angelbird 512 CF Express Type B memory card. Just one more note as far as the firmware version, because I'm sure everyone out there will be asking, and I do have the latest 1.03 firmware update on the Fuji XH2s. You have all the information. If anybody else is if anyone else out there has experienced overheating issues with just in photography with this camera, please let me know. The autofocus setting for the butterfly photos, I turned off all the tracking selections as far as faces are concerned, and I am using continuous autofocus with the camera, and I am picking a small square focus box and try to place it on the butterfly, and that's how I'm trying to focus on the butterflies. All right, so I've gone ahead and went into the menus and I set the temperature to high. So let's see if this eliminates the temperature warning. But hopefully it's safe for these cameras to get that hot just in photography. I just got a great opportunity to photograph what I think is probably the coolest photo I've taken here today so far. I had an opportunity to take a picture of what's like a purple or pinkish type flower, and got a butterfly to land on it. Now I originally noticed this flower because it had a lizard on the stem, and I thought it was a nice picture with the purplish pinkish type flower and the lizard on the stem. And then things really worked out for me because a butterfly came and landed on it and stayed on there quite a bit. And now what I did is I raised the ISO to 1600, and the reason I did that is so that I can get an aperture where I could close down my aperture and get enough depth of field to make sure that I could get the lizard and the butterfly both in focus, since they were in different locations, you know, on the flower. So anyways, I'm hoping that this really worked out. I was using the continuous autofocus, placing the box on the butterfly and letting the lizard hopefully be in focus because of the depth of field. So I made the butterfly my main subject as far as placing the box on it, and hopefully the lizard will also be in focus along with the flower and the stem. Then I also had some opportunities to go ahead and take some photos and try some different compositions with the lizard, and I kept the aperture closed. I wanted to make sure everything stayed in focus. I was close enough to really, I think, throw out the background enough where I feel comfortable with it, and I did a good job of not having any obstacles or anything like that interfering with the photograph. So I think this will be a pretty cool photo. I'm going to go ahead and head out to the aviary now. It's getting close to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's about the time that they like to feed the birds in there. So I typically find that there's a lot of good photo opportunities when they feed the birds. So I'm going to go ahead and work my way over there and see what the aviary looks like. Once again, on the Fuji XF200mm lens, I have gone ahead and kept on the 1.4 extender. So all these photos right now are being shot with the 1.4 extender on the lens. Just entered the aviary. This is what I'm looking at. They should all have just been fed, or yeah, looks like there's some fish on the ground there. So the birds have definitely been fed. So this is the time you want to be in here. The plan now is to shoot with the XH2 and the 200 with the 1.4 extender on there. So I'll be at just above 400 millimeters, and the maximum aperture would be 2.8. It's cloudy, and there's plenty of trees in here, so I'll probably have to bump up the ISO quite a bit, but I will be using the face detect for birds, and we'll see how that performs. So hopefully there's some opportunities in here to continue to test the autofocus. Just a reminder, I did change the temperature to its highest setting on the camera, and if it overheats in here, then we really got a problem, because I'm not out in the sun right now, so we'll see how everything performs. I'm wrapping up my day here photographing with the Fuji XH2s and the Fuji 200mm 2.0 lens. Photographed in the aviary for about half an hour. You know, as expected, nothing flying, but I was able to get a couple of nice photos. My thoughts so far on the camera, verdict's still out. For sure, I think it struggles in low light for continuous autofocus on the birds. When I can fill the frame with the bird's face, the eye autofocus seems to work pretty good from what I'm seeing so far. Things that I do know that I like so far, I love the 15 frames per second. I love the sound of the shutter. Those are two things that I can say for sure that I'm happy with thus far, but still a lot of testing to be done. I'm not going to judge this camera because I'm learning to use it, and there's always a learning curve with everything, even if you've been in a system for a while. So the one thing I do know is I'm happy that I've decided that I'm going to use this like a traditional mirrorless camera, where I'm picking the shutter speed with the front dial and then the aperture with the rear dial, and that's worked out really well for me. I've also done a much better job picking the ISO this time, where I'm hitting the button, and you actually have a couple of options. You have the rear dial, push on the bottom of the four-way button. I'm able to change the ISO that way, and also with the focus toggle button, you're able to go ahead and once you've pressed the ISO button, you're able to go ahead and change your ISO that way. So changing the ISO was much easier for me this time around. So that wraps up my day photographing here with the Fuji. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Appreciate it. Thank you.